Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Game Week 20 FPL Hawley deadline stream. Who's in the chat? Let me know. And what are your Game Week 20 dilemmas? Hello, Mr. Knuckles. How are you, my friend? Welcome back. You're on a streak. I think this is your third stream in a row, isn't it? How was your Game Week 19, my friend? Oh, another good one. You are very close to taking me over. Ah, you got your bench boost. Okay. 15-point bench boost. Nice. So who did we discuss you doing your transfers last week? You did... Yeah, you did Cucurella and Richards. For Hall and Dorgu. Okay. Hello, Luca Gabriel. Sell Rice for Rodgers or Bruno G or VVD to Tarkowski. I would only have Gabriel in terms of Arsenal assets, and I don't know if I should sell Rice if I know he'll start versus Liverpool midweek. That's a tough one, my friend. If you were going to sell Declan Rice, I would suggest Rodgers. I really like Rodgers, and I'm a bit frustrated that I can't make, or I could make Rodgers work this week, but I would love to be getting Rodgers into my team this week for their fixture at home to Forest. But hey, Savio, how are you, my friend? Welcome back. So if you're going to sell Rice, I would do Rodgers over Bruno G. I think Bruno G is a solid pick, but I just feel like Rodgers has such a ceiling, and Villa's fixture run is really nice. And I would hold Virgil van Dijk. I think Tarkowski's great as well, but I think in terms of upside, Rodgers, I would only have Gabriel in terms of Arsenal assets. And if I don't know if I should sell Rice if I know he will start versus Liverpool this week. The problem is with Rice, we just don't know. So if you have a deep bench and you want to hold Rice, the only thing as well is like Liverpool at home could be it's definitely on the tougher side, but yeah, I would do. First off, if you don't want to sell Rice, just hold him and just do VVD to Tarkowski. That's a good move. I just sold Mount for Rodgers. Was that a smart move? Yes, that was, Mr. Knuckles. That's a great move. And if you could afford to do that in one hit, then in a direct, if you had money in the bank to do that, that's a great move. Your team is looking really good, by the way. I think you will most certainly be overtaking me in this next game week. And you've got Van der Ven as well, who I'm looking to bring in this week. And you've got Vicario. Nice. Your team's looking great, Mr. Knuckles. Fair play. Savio sold Foden and Senesi to Rodgers and Gabriel for a -4. Oh, taking hits, Savio. I like it. Foden's a bold move, but I can see why he's not really been delivering. Senesi to Rodgers for Gabriel. That's a nice move. I mean, like as a combination, Rodgers and Gabriel. Yeah, and honestly, team, like if we look at my, if I had just one less flagged defender, because what's really killed me the last couple of weeks is I've only had 2 playing defenders, and with the news of O'Reilly being and obviously there's a flag on Keane, I would be doing Minteh and Wilson to Rodgers and a bench fodder. I would be getting Rodgers in as a priority, but I have to prioritize having a full playing 11. So I can't afford to downgrade a potentially playing player, if that makes sense. So I'm most likely just going to do a fairly boring sideways move of Richards to like a Van de Ven. I feel like Van de Ven looks like the best option with Spurs fixtures coming up. But if I didn't have to do that, if Richards or Rodon weren't flagged, I would be happily just have them sat on my bench, and I would be moving for Rodgers. So I can totally see the Rodgers bandwagon. It seems like it's a move everyone is doing. So I really hope he doesn't haul, because that's just going to hurt my rank even more. Yeah, he's already been transferred in 660,000 times already. Oh, Gabriel nearly 1 million times. Amazing. Bruno G, Bowen, Shirky. Yeah. So Luca de Gabriel, if you're still on the stream, Rice is the most transferred out player. So if you did hold him, he could potentially become a bit of a differential. The only thing I would say is I don't love Arsenal's fixtures. So Bournemouth away is a nice enough fixture. Liverpool at home, fine. Forest away, Man United at home, Leeds away. Like, they're okay. And Arsenal are obviously, so far, the table shows the best team in the league. So a lot of people selling Foden. A lot of people selling Thiago. I feel like unless you're doing Foden to Shirky, sorry, Savio, I would be nervous, because Foden, as long as Foden continues to play 90 minutes or start, you know, he's got it in his locker to bang. And Chelsea at home, Brighton at home, and then Wolves at home in the next 3. You know, could be benched for one of those. We all know Pep has that in him, but he could also absolutely go off. As could Shirky. God, what did Garner do? Got a goal and an assist. Wow. Imagine having James Garner on a bench boost. That completely passed me by, that one. 16 points. Fair play. Alrighty, team. So I have had absolutely terrible luck with my transfers over the Christmas period. Everton in particular have absolutely trolled me. I did Grealish in, and then he was a no-show. And then bought Keane in last week. He is a no-show. So, and he's now flagged. So I'm holding Keane in the hope that he features, starts. But yeah, it's not been a great festive period for me. But anyway, onwards and upwards. We will only look forward. My plan is, as I said, I will sort out my defenders. So I'll do Richards probably to Van de Ven. And then next game week, I'll look to move Minteh and probably Wilson on, probably for Rodgers. But I need to have a think about what combination I want to play. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, Savio. Yeah, Foden's definitely come off his purple patch for sure, and he's a very streaky player. I will be very interested to see how this Chelsea fixture goes, though, with an interim manager and no Caicedo. You never know. Chelsea could put in the performance of their life if there were certain players unhappy under Maresca, or it could be a little bit of a wobbly presentation. City need to bounce back after a frustrating match at the Stadium of Light. So who knows? I think this game week is going to be really exciting. Lots are going to happen, and I'm delighted we're back to some semblance of normality, where we have press conferences on a Friday and an 11 o'clock Saturday deadline. Hey team, there's 4 of you in the chat, I see. throw your questions in and let me help you. And if you're finding it useful, then please smash that like button on the stream. It really, really helps me and the channel. So I appreciate you. Do we want to have a captain conversation? For me, it's a bit of a no-brainer with Haaland. When I was doing my planning in my slides for my game weeks on my long-form videos, I kind of always had Haaland earmarked as captain for this game week, and that's just been reinforced by a managerless Chelsea and no Caicedo. So for me, the armband is going nowhere. But let me know if there are any differentials that you're considering. Maybe a Saka away at Bournemouth, or an Ekitike away at Fulham, perhaps. So I'm just looking at some projected goals and clean sheet odds, and really interestingly, they have Spurs at 41%, highest chance of a clean sheet, and Brighton at 40%. Now, neither of those defences have been particularly convincing this season, so that is interesting. Then Newcastle at 38, at home to a fairly blunt Palace, and then it's Arsenal 37%. Away to Bournemouth. And then you've got Villa and Everton both at 33%, Liverpool at 32%, Wolves at 30%, and then Man City at home to Chelsea at just 29%, which I find interesting. Hey, Bruno Di Fernandez, how are you, my friend? Welcome back. Bowen at home to Wolves. I like that, Savio. That would be a very interesting punt. Bruno Di Fernandez, start one of Collins, Vert, Minteh, or Mukiele. Oof. That's rough. Folks, what are people hearing about the Verts situation? I've heard a couple of conflicting things. I understood that he was carrying a hamstring niggle and they knew about it before the Leeds game, and that's why he was subbed off early to manage his hamstring. So if that's the case, I would start Verts. I would avoid Minteh. I need to have a think. I'm probably going to start him, but I'm not quite sure. And then what were the other ones? Collins and Mukiele. So Mukiele is away at Spurs. I don't love that. Collins away at Everton. Everton, I know they won, but they're fairly low on firepower. I'd say Minteh and Mukiele are the least favourite of that. To be honest with you, my friend, I'd probably just punt Verts and then have Collins first off your bench. So yeah, Verts, then Collins, then Minteh, then Mukiele. Which of the defenders? Mr. Knuckles, are you? Yeah, no worries at all, my friend. Are you playing, Mr. Knuckles? Are you playing? Sorry, are you making any transfers this week? No, sorry, you've already told me that. You sold Mount for Rodgers. Okay, nice. Yes, that was a smart move. So you will play. What are you going to play? A 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3? Because you do Raya. Oh, would you do Vicario actually? God, you could even do Vicario. I'll leave the goalkeeper shout out to you. I'd probably be tempted to punt on Vicario. Okay, you want to go 3-4-3. Okay, so your four in midfield would be Shirky, Semenyo, Rodgers, and I don't know, mate. I'd be tempted to play 4-3-3 because you want to play Chow, you want to play Gvardiol, and you want to play Hall, and you probably want to play Van de Ven, don't you? I'd go big and punt on the Newcastle and Spurs. I mean, it's up to you. It depends on your confidence levels. You might want to hedge and go for Raya. And if it was me, Mr. Knuckles, I would play 4-3-3, and I would start all your defenders apart from Dorgu. Sorry, you can't see the screen, can you? No, he doesn't have Miley. He has Hall. Oh no, but Hall's flagged, isn't he? I think Hall looks okay though. If you look at Eddie Howe's notes in his press conference, he kind of was like, "Oh, we'll see," but then kind of went on to say what great form Hall is in generally and how he's the fittest he's ever been. So, personally, Mr. Knuckles, I would play 4-3-3, and I would play your two Newcastle defenders, Van de Ven and Gvardiol, and then you can choose between Raya and Vicario. You could double up on Spurs and Newcastle defence and really try and hammer home your advantage, because that would be a huge differential. If you had double Newcastle and double Spurs and both kept clean sheets, you would be overtaking. Not so much of an issue with Dorgu. I just wouldn't. I just think that Newcastle's fixture. Don't know if you've forgotten what it is. Yeah, Palace at home and Sunderland at home are nicer than Leeds away. For Leeds United, Man United at Ellen Road is their biggest game of the season. They will be so up for that. They are quite rested because Daniel Farke played a fairly weakened team against Liverpool, even though they got a 0-0. And Calvert-Lewin will be fresh because he only played he didn't play the whole game on Thursday. So I think Man United will concede. Now, if you think that Dorgu will get attacking returns against Leeds, then by all means play him. But I'd be benching Dorgu with those defenders, and then I'd stick with the three strikers, and I would play Shirky, Semenyo, and Rodgers. Or you could play Xhaka over Semenyo or Minteh. Have a think about that, but yeah, it would. But what I would say, Mr. Knuckles, this time of year, look at the results. Lots of clean sheets, fairly low scoring. I feel like a lot of teams are very tired, are playing a lot of football. There's a lot of rotation. And they're really limping towards this break that a few teams get around this FA Cup after this game week. So I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Newcastle will look to keep it really tight against Crystal Palace, and Palace are tired and low on energy. Brennan Johnson might make the squad, but who knows if he'll start? He might come on. Arguably same with Spurs. Thomas Frank will want to build on the clean sheet 0-0 they got away at Brentford. So I would just wonder if we might see another quite low scoring game week and that defences will be on top. Savio, how did your free hit go? Oh, yikes. Tough week to free hit, my friend. Tough. Yeah, Everton kind of screwed you over a bit there, didn't they? Yeah, when Palmer scored, I thought of you. I thought fair play because he'd be a big differential, but yeah, that's a tough one. Anyway, onwards. Yep, I know the feeling, mate. Big red arrows across the board for me. We go again. We move, exactly. And Savio, you've taken a hit, haven't you? So but I really like the moves you've made. Like for you to have bought Rodgers and Gabriel's price are just going to go like that over the next couple. Like they already have started shifting, so you've got well ahead of that. And actually, I think, to be honest with you, I think that hit is probably a good investment in your future team. If I because I've got that kind of, like, I can't complain, but I've got Xhaka versus my. Oh, sorry, to start for you. Yeah, okay, sorry about that. The only thing with Miley is that apparently Trippier and Livramento are both back. Is that what you said? Let me just check. Elanga, Botman, Trippier, and Livramento are close and could return over the next couple of games. Eddie Howe is Hall should be okay. So anyone with Lewis Hall, like yourself, Mr. Knuckles, I'd say he should be fine. So just be mindful then. Howe is almost as bad as Arteta when it comes to information and press conferences. So Trippier and Livramento could potentially do well. So that would put Lewis Miley's question minutes under pressure, I'd say. So to be honest, I'd start Xhaka at home. Sorry, what I was going to do then was I was going to look at. So when I look at my team, before I just started wasting transfers, my original plan was to downgrade Thiago and move to a 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2. The problem is that I've just had such bad luck with defenders that the Thiago downgrade just hasn't been a fire I've needed to put out. And what's actually really stung me is I've been too focused on getting in the next shiny thing, which has been Cunha. Sorry, even before that, Harry Wilson was a trap. Cunha was then my second trap, and I've had to then make bad transfers to facilitate those moves, and then those players have come in and either not featured or blanked. So rather than what I should have done is focus more on fixing the fires or trying to raise. I've been trying to raise the ceiling of my team rather than trying to raise the floor. So what I need to do is I need to raise the bottom, like the weakest links in my team, as opposed to trying to enhance my ceiling. So this is why I'm trying to use all my energy. So what I had originally wanted to do was Minteh and Wilson to. Actually, I might be priced out of this now. Oh no, it's not. So I could do Rodgers and Minteh and Wilson to Rodgers and Devaney, and then move to a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3. The problem then, though, is that I've got three flag defenders. Richards isn't going to play. Rodon's not going to play, and then I'm really banking on Keane being okay. And we got a very wishy-washy response from David Moyes. And then apparently there's been some comments from Guardiola about O'Reilly, and he came off early. So that just makes me really nervous. So what I don't then want to do. So what I could do is I could take a hit. I could do all that, and then I could get in Van de Ven, say. And I could play then a 3-4-3 or 4-4-2. And now I'm very tempted by that. Team, would you take a hit to bring in Rodgers, Devaney, and Van de Ven, or do I just stick it out for a game week, hope that Minteh features? Yeah, this is where it's difficult because like 4 points is a lot, and I know you've taken a hit, Savvy, and I'm on the fence about it. Is it basically, does Minteh play? And does Minteh, with potentially a cameo or not even playing at all, or then Wilson at home to Liverpool, outscore a Rodgers at home to Forest and then 4 points? Or is it a case of I just absorb the 4 points and I know that I'm going to hold Rodgers over the next 10 game weeks and just take the hit quite literally of the 4 points? Tough one. Sorry, Savio, I think I answered your question. I'd do Xhaka over Miley. Do I think Arsenal will keep a clean sheet? Yeah, I probably do. I think they looked back to their old best with Gabriel against Villa. Villa were good, don't get me wrong. But a Semenyo who is out the door seemingly, but still playing apparently. Yeah, I think Arsenal will keep a clean sheet. So how do I get Gabriel in? It would have to be a Thiago downgrade, wouldn't it? Oh, that was the other one I was considering. So I could do Richards up to Gabriel and then Thiago down to Obi. But then again, I'd have to play a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2. And then Wilson and Minteh would both have to play. Yeah, that's my problem, Savio, is I feel like I'm just moving the deck chairs around and still coming up short and then taking points hits and really precious points hits. So I could do this. I could do Gabriel and then Obi down, but then I'm taking out a playing striker. So again, I've still got 3 flagged players. Sorry, I've still got 3 flagged players and another. Well, I then have another. Yeah, 3 flagged players and a bench fodder. Whereas, as far as we know, Thiago will feature in some capacity. Whereas, what I do quite like about the Van der Ven move is, yes, I agree it is short term, but it covers me for the next 4 game weeks. The Spurs' next 4 games are really nice. Sunderland, Bournemouth away, West Ham, Burnley away. I could then bin him in 24. It just, yeah, what stung me is I've just had two playing defenders these last 2 or 3 game weeks, and it's just that ceiling of even those extra couple of points each game week would have just helped me not to slip down the ranks so much. So because then what I can do is if I just make this move, I'll have, well, he says I should have at least 11 playing players. And then I can roll into the next game week, and then I'll have 2 free transfers, and then I can do. I'll definitely want rid of Minteh at that point, and possibly Wilson, and then I could potentially do the Rodgers move. But actually, is Rodgers exact money? Yeah, it is. Or I could do Rodgers and Thiago. Yeah, I could consider downgrading Thiago at that point. But again, Brentford's fixtures actually continue probably till about 23. You could hold Thiago. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah, I fear you, Mr. Knuckles. And I know you said earlier about you had a midfield dilemma. To be honest, I think you've actually got such a really. Your team is very strong across the board. like you've got, and you've just done Mount to Rodgers as well. So who are you missing? Okay, so you don't have Foden, so you've saved up a couple of mil by having Shirk instead of Foden, and you don't have Saka. So that's how and you don't have Cunha. So that's how you've basically been able to spread your funds across your team like this, because you've got the same set of strikers. You've got two really good goalkeepers, but quite expensive goalkeepers as well. How much is Vicario? Yeah, 4.8, and then Raya was Raya. Yeah. Yeah, so you've just basically spread your cash around the team, which is perfect for a bench boost. Like you've just played and you got a really good score with that bench boost. 15 bench boost is really good, and you were very unlucky actually with Mount. And now you're ahead of the curve. You got Rodgers now as well. So to be honest, you've kind of got benching headaches across the board, if I'm honest, my friend, which isn't a bad thing, but so okay, so Mr. Knuckles, I'm not going to be able to give you a definitive answer here because it's a really hard one. What I would encourage you to do is have a think about how you want to play the game. So there's two options. So you've got really good, yeah, you're over rank. You're 278. So you're only 5 or 6 points behind me now. Do you want to almost double down and really try and kick on and climb? If you do, play Vicario, because Vicario will be a huge differential. And as I said, for your team, if you played Hall, if you played Hall and Chow and Van der Ven and Vicario, and both Newcastle and Spurs kept clean sheets, which they both have a much higher likelihood than most other teams. I think the two of them have two of the highest clean sheet percent like odds this week. Your rank would skyrocket. Whereas Raya is more of the template cover because you're concerned, understandably, because you don't have any Arsenal. So statistically, the bookmakers are giving Spurs a better chance of keeping a clean sheet at home to Sunderland. But in reality, we know that Spurs are struggling, particularly at home, and Arsenal have just got Gabriel back and they're looking very strong. Bournemouth are struggling, not as free scoring as they were before, and Semenyo's head is turned. So to be honest with you, I could totally see the argument both ways. But if you go with Vicario and Spurs capitulate at home like they have been known to, don't be surprised. So yeah, have a think, Mr. Knuckles. If you wanna really double down and try and get into the top 100k, play Vicario. If you want to maybe play a bit more safe and consolidate your rank, I would play Rye. But to reiterate, these are really nice problems to have. You've got a really strong team. I'm on 3-4-3. You need to slowly go back to 3-4. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because, as I said, my kind of long-term strategy was to move to just two, even one up top. There was talk about just having Haaland, and then obviously Ekitike came into form and became very tempting, and then he's gone on to disappoint somewhat. But yeah, I think with Gabriel now being back, I think two Arsenal defences definitely back on the menu. So potentially a 4-4-2 is where it's at. And the problem is that my planned transfers was I was going to slowly move over this period to the 4-4-2, even 3-5-2 formation. But I've just been chasing the shiny new things like Harry Wilson and Cunha, and it's just very much backfired. But anyway, I don't think one up front is ideal because I just would have concerns because the problem with one up front is that, say Haaland gets injured or gets a red card and gets suspended for 3 games. I mean, his injury record is superb, but you'd then have to potentially, unless there was a alternative like a Bowen that you would be happy to move to, that you could just play week in, week out. But my argument to that would be, well, if there was a player like that, you wouldn't be playing one up top. You'd want that person in your team as well. So you'd probably be playing at least 2 strikers. You would then just potentially, you'd have to rip your team up to get 2 strikers in, and then that's, potentially 2 or 3 transfers just from a formation perspective. And that's what stung me with my defense, is that because I play 3 and then I've had 3 defenders flagged, the luck of injuries hasn't gone with me, and I've found that I've only been having 10 players each game week, which has then cost me. I've seen a few wildcard drafts flying around that have, is it Bowen and Haaland? And then Watkins as well is someone that's coming back around with Villa's nice run. It's just a real shame that Ekitike is not delivered. Hey, Tony. First to Rodgers for a hit. Don't know, mate. I assume you've gone off the wild card then. I think Verts plays. I haven't really. If someone has the comments from Slot or any information on Verts, then drop it in the chat. But what I understood it to be was that they knew about the hamstring injury and that it was being managed. So he was brought off early. Now I might have misread that completely. Oh, we've not had a love. No, there we go. But had hamstring discomfort last week, leading to management as versus Leeds. So does that mean that it was aggravated? I don't realize not enough difference. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think you need to sit on your wildcard, mate. Like it's very early to be playing a wildcard if you can avoid it. I honestly, I don't mind the Rodgers. To be honest, I'd even just put together I could do Minteh to Rodgers, and then still do Richards to Van de Ven, and then I could do Wilson down to Devaney. Or I could do Thiago to like a bench fodder. Or I could even just so I could bring Rodgers in. But what it does for me is it just removes a playing, because I have 4 flags. I just would I don't know if the hit's worth it, if I'm honest. You trade once this week. Tony, you should be on my streams every week. You're so full of information. The only stream once this week. Surely you can't start twice in 2 days with the sore hammy. Gakpo's back. Yeah. How many minutes does Gakpo play? Did he come on against Leeds? Yeah, 24 minutes. Oh, and he actually came on against Wolves as well. Yeah. Well, look, mate, in that case, I assume you have Ekitike as well. Arsenal away. It's the Burnley fixture, but you don't want to hold someone just for 2 fixtures. If you think that Rodgers is going to be a 10-week hold, there's an argument to say just bring him in now. Because then it goes Leeds, Wolves. And Rodgers' price is only going to go one way. I think, honestly, the thing that makes me nervous about Gordon is just the minutes. I think Elanga might be coming back from injury. But those are really nice fixtures. And also Newcastle just aren't as good a team as Villa. Rodgers are good. Yeah, it would be Rodgers for me, mate. And maybe it's a bit of recency bias, but had Rodgers have gone big against, had Rodgers have scored or done something against Chelsea and Arsenal, I think I would be really agitating over bringing him in for a hit. But it is a bit streaky. I know he's got, what's his? I mean, what I love about Rodgers is he's a 90-minute man. Like, he starts every game. And even when he was really poor at the start of the season and he was getting jeered by the Villa fans and quite clearly needed a rest, Emery stuck with him and just kept playing him into form. So what, he got a 15-pointer against in GameWeek 12. Then he got 6-2, 15-15, 1-1. Yeah. This is why I just wonder with Rodgers, could he just wait a week for me, or do I just save the 4 points? Tough. It'll get tough once Bruno and Palmer are picks. Money will be tight if we want to keep Saka and Gabriel. Yeah, well, that's potentially when you do a 4-5-1 and you just have a stacked midfield and then you're light on defence, but then you won't be able to have someone like a Gabriel. And then is it just Haaland up front, 2 bench fodders, and a 3.9 defender, and just like a Rodon, and just might need to come in every week. I don't know. Yeah, that would be interesting. You'd have to go cheap on the goalkeeper. I don't know how that would work, but yeah. I think Verts will be. I think next season he'll take off. He's a fantastic player, but yeah, he might just be more of the, pre-assist, but like a David Silva, who was like okay in FPL, but he was a much better football player than he was an FPL asset. Santi Cazorla, that kind of style. Surely you've got to keep a second striker with eventually someone picking up form. Yeah, I'm not sure when you joined the stream, Tony, but that's basically what we were talking about. I don't generally like doing 4-5-1 because you do just put all your eggs in one basket. The other thing we're not considering as well, and generally I don't I tend not to buy players fresh to the league, but we don't know how January transfers are going to pan out. You know, West Ham are being linked with a couple of strikers. Not that that's necessarily going to come to anything, but there could be some movement. You know, Semenyo's move is going to have a knock-on effect. Maybe Foden, Shirky, Dorku's minutes are then impacted. Who knows? So it'll be very interesting. And this again is why, for me, I do feel like just saving some transfers could be the smart move. Hey, Jizzleton, how are you, my friend? Would you transfer out Rice and Richards for Garner and Gabriel? If you need to sell Rice because you're already tripled up on Arsenal, then I don't mind that. I think we kind of have to sell Richards. I don't mind the Garner move actually. So how expensive is Garner? 5.1. So he's the DEFCON guy, isn't he? Like he's doing really, like he just seems to tick along with DEFCON. I don't mind Garner. So the only other options that you could consider around Garner's price could be Stack at Leeds. I know he got that free kick the other day. Oh, he's got a couple of goals actually. Yeah, Stack's doing well, and he seems to be locked in. He kind of was out of the team and is back in because when was it? It was Chelsea. Yeah, so it was at Chelsea that Daniel Farke moved to this 3-5-2 or 3-4 something or other. Anyway, and then since then, Stack has been 90 minutes every week. So Stack's another good shout at 4.9. And then the other one was Ayari. What are his minutes like? Okay, he's only just back in the team. He's kind of in and out. But again, one assist. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I don't mind that, Jizzleton. I'd do Garner or Stack, but I do like Garner because Everton's run of fixtures are really nice, and he'll be Mr. Defcon for you. But I do like the Gabriel because you're bringing in the best defender in the game. You're solving a problem by getting rid of Richards, who we know is not going to be back for at least another couple of games, and Palace. I think we can probably safely move off them now. Predicted top 4 finish for who? You want me to predict my top 4 in the Prem, Tony, or who's going to predict a top 4 finish? Sorry, I missed that. What about 3 Chelsea? Yeah, I think in the Prem, Arsenal, City. I think Villa will do it, and 4. I mean, probably no. Liverpool. Liverpool will get 4th. I was going to say Chelsea, but no, I think Liverpool will get 4th. I think Chelsea's season. I think the wheel's going to start to come off in a big way. They've got such a young squad, no real leaders. They're talking about bringing in Liam Rosenior. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he'll be able to get the dressing room. So yeah, Arsenal, City, Villa, and Liverpool, or maybe Liverpool, Villa. What about 3 Chelsea? Yeah, I think again, Savio. The jury's out for me with Chelsea. I would need to be a bit of a wait and see who the manager is, what kind of team he picks. But I mean, you know, we've got at least 2 more game weeks. You could argue that 21 is an entry point, but definitely 22 at home to Brentford. You could possibly even wait till 24. That's when it gets really nice. West Ham at home, Wolves away, Leeds at home, Burnley at home. So I think you definitely want to get double, if not triple Chelsea for 24. And by then we should have a much clearer picture, because that's at the end of the month. So oh damn, I keep forgetting we've got a midweeker on Tuesday. I'll have to get a quick video done and out on Monday. Alrighty team. So I honestly, Tony, haven't been looking that far ahead. I think based on that run, and yeah, just with Maresca out, like Chelsea are just so far. I want to have a sit down. I'm away at the moment with family, so I want to have a sit down when I get back next week, when a bit of normality is resumed, and actually sit down. I'll have a real think during that period after the next game week, but when the FA Cup is on, and do some forward thinking planning. But I think Palmer would need to be a must during those 4 game weeks. But again, we'll need to see what the team Chelsea looks like. All right, team. So there's 7 people on the stream, and I've only got 2 likes. So a big ask would be, folks, if you found this stream in any way valuable, first off, thank you so much for joining me. If you could please smash that like on the stream, it really helps me and the channel. And if you could hit the subscribe button, that would be really, really helpful as well. Thank you so much. We've just over, I think it's like 310 subscribers. So really appreciate all of you taking the time to join me for the deadline stream. And I am going to go ahead and do my very boring transfer, which is Richards to Van de Ven. And I'll no doubt get lots of stick in the chat from Tony. But here we are. And how should I set up my bench team? What do you reckon? Team, give me some quick feedback on this. I think my main questions are, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Tony. Honestly, like, my advice is on Bournemouth, on Saka at Bournemouth. I think the other option could be, if you wanted to go differential, would be another City asset, so Foden or maybe even a Shirky. But I wouldn't be putting it on Cunha. Possibly Ekitike. But yeah, Saka away at Bournemouth would be my alternative captain pick, and that's why he's my vice captain. Team, what do you think of this setup? Who would you be benching here? I've currently got Minteh and then Wilson. Would you start Minteh? Would you start Wilson? And if so, who for? Would you bench Keane? Minteh for sub? We keep him for this game. Fingers crossed he plays. Even 30 minutes is good. So Tony, do you think this is the right setup? Hi Emmanuel, how are you, my friend? Yeah, well, Team Wilson did me last week when I started him, and I can't remember who it was in the chat. Was a big West Ham fan who was saying, "Trust me, start Minteh." Oh. So if Keane doesn't start, then Minteh comes on first up. Thank you, Tony. Oh, Savio, always with the contrarian view. I appreciate that. You'd bench Keane for Minteh. It's not a bad shout. I just feel like this will be the revenge of Minteh, because he's just done nothing but troll me for this whole. So maybe Savio's on something. All right, team. 3 minutes before the deadline. Thank you so much. I can see there's 5 people have liked the stream. Really appreciate that. If anyone who's on the stream and you've not liked it, please hit that like button and hit subscribe as well. Santiago or Gravenberg? I would start Thiago. Two minutes left, team. All got your benches locked in. Got captaincy on Haaland. Be absolutely well. Any brave people out there who want to punt against Haaland this game week? Go for it. One minute, team. Any last minute questions? Get your teams locked in. I just feel like with Minteh, dead leg, not serious. Matoma's back. You know, Herzl has made some comments about how Minteh's not gone through great form. He was benched against Arsenal and he started, so maybe he just benches Minteh again and Minteh just comes on for the last 30 minutes. 8 people on the stream. Thank you so much. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. 10 of you. We're benching Semenyo, right? I would have said start Semenyo. What was your team, Mr. Knuckles? I propose you do a 4-3-3 and do your midfield of Shirky, Semenyo, and Mount Rodgers. Or you could do Minteh, like, yeah, but Semenyo, I'd say, looks like he's going to play. But I think Arsenal. And who are you doing keeper-wise? There we go. Game is done. Yeah, Savio, you got me. And look, Savio, we are done now, but no doubt we'll enjoy having a good laugh on my deadline stream on Tuesday about how Minteh against Burnley and Thiago scores and Keane gets a 1-pointer. But that is peak FPO. Yeah, nice. You went with Vicario. I like that, Mr. Knuckles. That is bold, and I wish the best of luck to you. I hope Spurs keep a clean sheet because I have Van der Ven. There we go, team. Thank you so much for joining the deadline stream. I see 9 of you are on the stream. If you could hit like the stream, hit that big thumbs up. It really helps me in the channel. And if you've not already hit subscribe, please do as well. It really helps me in FPL Hawley. I will look to do a very short video probably on Monday ahead of the GameWeek21 deadline. And then I'll do a deadline stream on Tuesday, an hour before the deadline. So I'll get all that set up on Monday when I'm back home. And yeah, best of luck in game week 20, team. And I'll see you on the other side. Ciao for now. Bye, team.